This is Steve Lane in Reedyville, Tennessee, and I love Mike Hanson Archives.
I hope so.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Yeah! Get ready to run.
Folks, it's Mike Hanson here with Mike Hanson Archives. And we got a little good news on our operations here. Say hi, Cammy. They'll be calling you, I hope. We got Joe that came in from Florida that's going to help us. Well, look here, we already set up tables here for all the new computers that you're going to help us transfer over these tapes right here. How much trouble is this going to be? First of all, tell Alex Jones viewers who you are.
Okay, my name's Joe. I'm in the dim past, I escaped from MIT with a degree in electrical engineering, and for the past 15 years I've kept a public access television station on the air. And about 12, 13 years ago we made the transition from broadcasting on SVHS and VHS tape to a digital signal path. And so we had several thousand tapes at the time that we wanted to convert, and so we went through a process, and a lot of our producers were still bringing this stuff in. So this was something that I'd done in the past and worked this stuff through. But when I viewed Mike's, he had made a small program, asking for
Well,
help.
let's just call it begging. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, begging.
I am begging for money because this stuff costs so much money. Joe, we're spending $800 a week right now trying to get all this stuff transferred over and up on the internet before it goes bad. But I made the statement that these tapes last 10 years, but you said they might last like 5 to 8 or something.
Well, things.
And we're talking about these, VHS tapes.
Some of which are 20 years old.
Yeah. Well, these are 25 years old, going on 30.
Yeah, you start to see some degradation in your signal after about 5 years or so, and then you start to look at tapes that are 20 years old, and the magnetic material is flaking off.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of this stuff in the archive that's probably worth keeping around for posterity. So. What I'm willing to do here is to set up a series of computers so that we can just keep feeding them with tapes. And
but when I heard the price tag about how much it's all going to cost, it's way more than I can afford. So that's why I'm doing this video, Joe.
Okay.
If anybody can help out with this, Alex did contribute this here. I don't want to ask Alex for any money because he's involved in all the lawsuits and everything else right now, and he got his own operation going on. But we did go up to Alex's office and get these, which we're going to be able to convert, hopefully, the DVD shows that we done in the past. So, Joe, I'm gonna beg for money. Okay, Cammy. How can they get us some money? Show us on there, how can they get us some money quick? We got what?
We have Venmo.
We do.
And we have PayPal.
Okay.
Venmo is... Passwords are... at Mike-Hanson-Archives.
Well, but we're going to put it up here on the screen.
Yes. So
they can call.
They can call the
right
office.
Here at
830-672-3089, and we can take debit credit cards over the phone.
And to show your appreciation for all the stuff that y'all are doing, she's editing another show for y'all right now. Well, we got some good shows coming up. This last show we did was really good too. But Alex was so good in the 1990s. I hate to see all this stuff go to waste. But we do have t-shirts left. We will, for helping us out here at Mike Hanson Archives, we will send you a t-shirt or a book. Right, Joe? And you're here. How long are you going to stay, Joe?
Well, until we get you set up with 8 or 10 computers at least that are that we're feeding in tapes, and then
Right.
that can run as a background task in your business. And once that's all going, there's other things to do in life.
I hate to beg, but I'm going to beg because it's such a good cause. Go ahead and call Cammie at 830-672-3089 if you'd like to help with this important project. All right, now back to your, I say back to the future because it's back to the future like in Back to the Future, Joe,
Yeah.
to Alex Jones in the 1990s. All right, thanks a lot and God bless.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
You're ready to run.
Sevierville, Tennessee. This is near where Dolly was born. There's a little butterfly. This is actually one of the cleanest, most beautiful little towns I've ever seen. Everything is so clean. It's beautiful. Sevierville, Tennessee, near Pigeon Forge. We're going to spend the night in Pigeon Forge. Look how clean those streets are. Beautiful. Probably wasn't this nice when she was growing up. She brought a lot of wealth to this town, probably. Well, folks, it's Mike Hanson here from Mike Hanson Archives, right here on band.video. Thank you, Alex, for giving us a spot here on Infowars.com. I know you got a lot of bills to pay. We're not asking you for any money. We're asking the public if they can help us get all these tapes transferred over from the 1990s and get them up on the internet for history. We got probably, I think we figured out one time that Alex did about 2,000 or more live shows on ACTV, and that's not counting all his radio shows. So if you would like to help us, we sure could use the help here at Mike Hanson Archives here in Gonzales, Texas. Here is our secretary's email here on the screen here. And also our phone number is 830-672-3089. Any donations that you can make to help us here. This operation here is costing us about $800 a week with the people we got hired and always having to buy new equipment. So anything y'all can do out there, we sure would appreciate it. Now, for a special show here on Mike Hanson Archives with Alex Jones, let's go back to the future.
William Jefferson Clinton is the worst president this country has ever had. But in fact, he's really not even my president. He is an installed operative for European finance, and that's a fact. And I'll get more into what's going on in Europe with the unification of their currency, of their markets, and I'm sure we have some World War II veterans here who know who we've had 2 wars with, and that's who's going to be dominating the new European currency is going to be Germany, and that's coming up next year. And I'm not here to scare you, but there are so many good people in this country. In fact, this is really the first time I've gone and spoken outside of Austin. I have radio shows on some national shows and told people about things. I have gotten some information disseminated around the country, and it's going on everywhere else. You heard people talking earlier about what I've documented, what other people have documented, what Congressman Ron Paul just 3 weeks ago in my radio program talked about. The United Nations is taking over our national parks because President Clinton signed up about half of them over with Executive Order 12,986. 12,986, an executive order signed in 1997. Just 3 years ago, I was a mainline conservative Republican sitting there going along with things, saying we've got to stay within the parameters, we can't be extreme, we can't call Clinton a traitor. Well, now we've got representatives like Dana Rohrabacher. He's coming out and accusing President Clinton of treason. And it is treason when President Clinton allowed the transfer that allowed the perfection of the large intercontinental ballistic missile in China by L'Oreal and Space Use and aeronautics companies. Now think about this. Multiple warhead missile delivery systems, the engines to drive cruise missiles, not just F-16s and F-18s, but the actual blueprints on how to manufacture them. China this year is starting to manufacture frontline attack aircraft. But the Republicans on the ground, the people I've talked to in Central Texas and Round Rock and here and in Austin, they know what the problem is. And this is where the victories are going to start, are in the grassroots communities. And that's what you're going to have to do. And don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to get in the face of these people here in your hometown. In their face. Because they're in a peer pressure system. They're the happy, go along, get along people that think that they're part of something that's, fun. But they're feeding off of you. What are some of the threats that you will see in the future and that you are seeing today? The radio station that I work for, KJFK, Edward Allen, who owns Allen Automotive here in town. I believe that's the name. I've known him for about a year and a half. I've never actually been to Smithville. I've been close by, but I've met him at the station probably 100 times, been out with him and his wife. And he would kind of say thumb scanning. They thumb scan it to get a driver's license. And he'd kind of go on about his business, and it never really registered. What is thumb scanning? Until 2 weeks ago, he went in, ex-military, no criminal record. He goes in to renew his driver's license. And they got a nice, pretty little black box with a nice little laser shooting up from it at all the DPS offices. You've got to put your thumb on there to renew your driver's license. You can renew it once by mail now, and the second time you renew, you're going to have to thumb scan. Now, people can say, what do you have to hide by putting your thumb down on this little black box and giving them your digital signature and your digital photograph? I'll tell you what the problem is. It takes away control of your own destiny. It gives the federal government unlimited power over you. And Congressman Ron Paul is just now introducing legislation that's warning the public about the smart card that's coming out in the year 2001. You've seen President Clinton during the last State of the Union address hold it up and start touting it for security for our children and your children and the world's children. They're going, and listen, I'm not even somebody that's big on the church. I'm not an atheist or anything, but I'm not even into the book of Revelations and all that. I just think it's incredible that our government, under William Jefferson Clinton, is now pushing and is making us thumb scan to get driver's license in most states in the Union. And now you see bank commercials on TV for Visa. You see Lockheed Martin Marietta commercials from the military-industrial complex showing you how fun it's going to be to thumb scan to buy and sell. Within several years, they're going to be putting these things, and Bill Clinton's going to try to pass a law to make you use it. Now, why do they want to do this? It's so they can track and trace and know everything you buy and everything you do. And whereas now, if the IRS doesn't like you, they can just come after you and try to steal your house. But you can still go mow lawns as part of the black market, the undercurrent. You can still make cash and live your life. Oh no, my friends. When they put the thumb scanners in and the retina scanners in, like they're doing in Britain, like they're doing in New York City and Boston right now as pilot programs, watch the news. The whole psychology of this country now is for the children. We hear children on the cover of the news. Clinton hugging Buddy the dog or Socks the cat, hugging a victim. It's all non-threatening propaganda, so you see them as non-threatening. Why do you hear this word children so much? Because they want you to think of it as you're the children and the government's your mommy and daddy, big brother. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now. They're going to do this. They're the ones that are talking about it. They're the ones that are pushing it. They're the ones that are preparing the public for it. This is tyranny. This is the history of the world. This is a wake-up call that unless people get really motivated and start getting in people's faces at the checkout line, at the movie theater, at work, we're in a crisis. And I saw a bumper sticker out there that said, "I believe in America." Well, I believe in America, and America's back is against the wall, and I guarantee you one thing, Alexander Jones is going to stand till the end if it means I have to lose my life. My forefathers went and fought for this country, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to fight with the pen. I'm going to fight with my voice. I'm going to fight with videotape. And when the day comes when some Delta Force comes marching down my street to take my firearms, I'm going to be just like Paul Revere and the Founding Fathers, and I'm going to oppose them. And I'm not preaching sedition. It's President Clinton that just gave the Long Beach Naval Base, 2 years ago, to the Chinese. It's the Chinese that are in the high desert of California at George Air Force Base and Victorville and Adelanto, California. It's the Chinese that are moving in on this nation right now. They have 1.25 billion people that live in abject slavery, and they're controlled by the IMF and the World Bank, who are controlled by the filthy Rockefellers and the rest of their type. These people make money off you being prostrate, on your knees, weak, begging for handouts. They don't care about an economy that's doing good. They don't care about a vibrant nation. They care about worldwide power. And this economy that we have, a stock market that's gone over 9,000. Look what's happening to the rest of the world markets. Well, then why is the economy doing so good? Well, why was our economy doing so good during the 20s and the late 20s? Because they were printing money. When I talked to Congressman Ron Paul just a couple weeks ago on my radio program for 45 minutes, he came right out with it. Something the Federal Reserve is printing 10% more money every 6 to 8 months into the economy. They're printing money. That's why the economy looks like it's doing all right. Okay? That's the problem. This is a plane that has to come down. It's like we're on narcotics. The longer we're on the narcotics, it's harder when you come down. And that's what's going to happen. So you damn right. I'm trying to scare this crowd in here. I'm trying to get you motivated and impassioned and out there on the front lines opposing these people and their swarms of bureaucrats that are coming for your land. They're coming for your property because they don't know how to work. They know how to arrange themselves in colonies of parasites. And they're coming for you, and they're coming for your families. The average American in this country pays 62% in some form of tax. That's state, local, federal property taxes all rolled into one. The feudal serf only paid 20% on average. That was the average all through history. Now, why could a serf, a slave on the land, only have 20% taken from them? Because back then, what could the king take? What could the lords take? They had chickens, they had cows, they had some property. Grand Prima Noctu in Britain and in France, the king's men were allowed to have his way with your daughters whenever they felt like it. That was one of the fringe benefits. But now, because the hard-working people of America, the apple of the world's eye, because of our industrial capacity is so gigantic and so powerful, but not for long, we're losing that base. And I'll get into that more in just a second. that productions come up. So people have the baubles of success. They have the trappings of power. They have the nice shiny car. They have the nice house. They have things even though more and more is being taken by the parasite. Have you ever heard of a parasite that can bleed? Have you ever heard of a tick that can take 62% of its host's blood? This is a huge tick. Here's the analogy. I know it's gross, but the government's gross. Picture a dog, a 50-pound dog, dragging a 30-something pound tick around with it. Well, that's what this country is. That's what we're going through. And the problem is the tick doesn't know what it's doing. It's just going to push harder and keep sucking and keep getting fatter because it's stupid. It's ignorant. And that's what it does. It's a parasite. We're dealing with a parasite class, an elite parasite class, and all they know how to do is dumb you down. I'm not an economic expert, but I've talked to a lot of economic experts, and my dad is a business owner in Austin, Texas, also owns businesses in Dallas, and I talked to him quite a bit. I talked to his friends and others, and they've gotten their money out of the stock market. It's a Ponzi scheme. The stock market at this time is a Ponzi scheme. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. You can gamble. You can keep your money in the stock market. I'm not sitting here advising people what they should do. You could probably keep it in there and ride this wave, and if you're smart, pull it out at the last minute, whether it's a Y2K or a European stock market crash or an Asian stock market crash, which we've already had. So again, I just want people to think about what's happening. Some key points that I've got to tell people. The fact is, we've got to punish President Clinton. Can you imagine the example that this sets for future presidents? This sets an incredible precedent. People are ready to lay down to anything. It's every month some new revelation of traitorous behavior. Think what happens when the next president comes in. They'll do whatever they want because the people would have been so used because of successive approximation, incrementalism. We've all heard the analogy of a frog in a pot of boiling water. If you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, he will jump out. If you put that frog in cold water and slowly turn up the heat, that frog will go. And it's America that's boiling right now. So the evidence is there. United Nations, with treaties taking over the land around most of our rivers. Clinton had his first initiative, America Rivers Heritage Act, defeated. He got his executive order 12,986. But if Clinton doesn't get what he wants, he comes back and tries to get it incrementally, piecemeal. We go back to that. They've been pushing. They're the establishment. They're old money. We've got to get the new establishment, the grassroots people in small towns everywhere, to start talking to people in other small towns. I have a vision of people in the future having big meetings, having, what's the word, large meeting houses, people getting together and speaking together from other towns and other cities and other states and watching it grow. Look what the Promise Keepers have done. A group of Christian men that go out and try to reaffirm to be good men, work hard. I'm not a member of the Promise Keepers, but I see how large they are. And I want people that have organizational skills in the country, and this is an idea I've just gotten over the last few months, to start pushing to get local groups to start allying themselves together so that we can start having a network around the country. So if President Clinton or somebody that comes after him decides that they don't want to leave office like Franklin Delano Roosevelt, we can go ahead and have a referendum, a grassroots referendum. Because if the government can come in and slowly take over, they will. We've got to put a peaceful confrontation. We've got to have a grassroots revolution of information. And remember, back to the Delta Force. President Clinton has taken over certain key parts of the military, and he's using them as his own personal hit arm. They're being trained, they're practicing in your cities. And if anybody wants a reference for this, the May 5th, May 6th, San Antonio Express newspaper, you can go to the library, look it up, May 5th, May 6th, San Antonio Express News, and read right there where the Delta Force was planning live fire exercises in the streets of San Antonio. They attempted to bribe the police chief. That, again, you make your own decisions. That is totally unconstitutional. From A to Z, under President Clinton, we've had these atrocities happening. So I hope that everybody out here gets motivated politically. I know you're out there spending your time doing this, and I want to thank everybody for putting this on. Get out there, get involved today, and remember, it is not futile to resist tyranny. It is your job, it is your duty, if you do still believe in America. Thank you.
You're all on the reservation. You're all on the plantation. And you're all, oh man, Master takes good care of me. That's what it is. It's semantics. You don't even know what real political terms are, most of you. I'm not talking down to you, but that's what's happening here. They got these damn traitors installed everywhere. Friday, June 19th, 1998, New York Times. New faces at the UN and the Energy Department. President Clinton yesterday named the combative Richard C. Holbrooke as the United States representative at the United Nations. He replaces Bill Richardson, the adventurous former congressman from New Mexico who was named Energy Secretary. Man, it's just UN scum everywhere. I tell you, it's just filthy. Our Secretary of State's Madeleine Albright. Yeah, rewind that. I want people to see what the UN does to kids. And this isn't some conspiracy. This is what you're fixing to see. There's been convictions in the Belgian courts. There's been convictions in the Italian courts, but the UN defended them the whole time. UN defended its own people. The governments got wind of this and found out and prosecuted their people for them. But the UN defended them, just like they defended the Secretary General of the UN from 72 to 82, Kirk Valtine. Now that's China right there, but back to the person being burned over the fire, the child being fed vomit and worms. Remember all those dead bodies back in, what was it, 93 or 94 in Rwanda? I think it was a little blip in the Statesman a while back that Kofi Annan, who was then head of peacekeeping forces before he was Secretary General, that he hadn't done a very good job making sure that that people didn't get killed in Rwanda. That million people, or however many, we're not sure, it was over a million, that got killed. Remember the rivers were full of dead bodies? People were killing them somewhere upriver, and then the river was full of dead bodies, all from tip to tip for like months. Well, it came out in the alternative press, and the New American, a supposed right wing, and then a supposed left wing, the Village Voice, that UN troops were killing people, and they would allow the Hutus, they would get the Tutsis in a relief center for hot showers and food and things, and as soon as they would get them in there, the UN would pull out. They'd have 5,000 to 10,000 people all disarmed, and then the Hutus would come in, and they would kill the Tutsis. Now let's put that back up there. I want people to see Kofi Annan and Ted Turner. Remember when Ted Turner gave the UN $1 billion to help? Because you know the UN's bankrupt. They nurture that. Actually, they owe us about $4 billion last time I read the congressional record for peacekeeping. And that's just incredible. I mean, they owe us a lot of money, and then the media just puts out that we owe them $1 billion. Well, we do on the dues, but we don't on the other information. See, there's two separate things. There's the normal UN operating budget that we kick into, and then there's the peacekeeping missions, which we've been paying for half of on average. It's all smoke and mirrors. I had June 18th, Statesman, and it says, on the losing end, it talks about how Congressman Ron Paul, who's actually a hero, it says Congressman Ron Paul is against a bill increasing the criminal penalties for telephone marketers who engage in fraud. It says he really stood out when he voted against it in the House. It was 411 to 1. Well, Congressman Ron Paul is against fraud 110%, exposes it all the time. He's against this telemarketer fraud for one reason. It's unconstitutional, and it gives Reno and the Justice Department whole new sweeping powers to monitor telephones and all this other garbage. I mean, well, I tell you, the media is just always attacking Congressman Ron Paul, one of the few people we've got up there that opposes CIA drug running, that opposes the fact that President Clinton has been making a big deal out of Saddam with these chemical and biologicals. Well, he makes the point that during the Reagan administration, we sold them these weapons, or actually during the Bush administration. So I've got him on tape, and I've played that many times for you to see. And you got 3 traders right there on your screen. Now, back to local. We told you about ASAP. Do we want to actually play the tape, some of the newscasts from 5 or 6 months ago, or just put the images up in front of people? And then we'll show you some clips from this week in late June, where Judge Elshire says we don't need to send people with guns to people's houses. And so this program, ASAP, where they send constables to first graders and second graders and third graders and fourth graders and fifth graders' houses the first time they miss school, and threaten them with $565 fines, and gather intelligence with no warrant, is unconstitutional and wrong. But we could put a nail in the ASAP program, and we'll put a number up later. But let's go ahead and go to the clip from, what, 4 or 5 months ago, Mike? When we were first opposing ASAP.
County residents charge the county is playing Big Brother and floating an idea to
Caught. Last year, more than 400 more students stayed in class than in the previous year. Travis County Commissioners credit the truancy program. That's where a constable visits the home of each absent student. But some parents say constables have no right to check up on their children. KB24's Nikki Jackson is here to explain why. Nikki?
Basically, they feel their right to privacy is being infringed upon, and that the truancy program is just another way Big Brother invades their lives. They took their beef to county commissioners today.
I think it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. Every fascist society, every authoritarian society is obsessed with control of the youth.
And you have the power to do something about it. You provide the budget for the constable's office.
On this night, several Travis County constables are getting ready to do their jobs.
We are there because we've got reasonable belief and probable cause to believe that a child did not go to school, which is in violation of the state law.
Deputy Yvonne Matthews is visiting southeast Austin, a part of town with the highest truancy levels. In all, constables visit between 250 and 450 homes a night.
Thank you.
In the past few months, 62% of the time, one visit is all it's taken.
Like this home we hadn't been to since September. A lot of folks, a lot of parents, they leave a lot earlier than their children do at times, and that's one of the biggest excuses we have. Deputy Matthews going Precinct 4.
Lots of parents simply forget to call the school and tell them their child will be out. And as commissioners are hearing, some do call, but somehow the message isn't getting through.
What's wrong with the system that we are paying for these people to come and beat on our doors at 8 o'clock at night when we do it right?
I took my son out of school today for a political protest. Yes! I took my son out of school for no reason, and one of your useful dupes better not show up at my house tonight because the gate will be locked.
Travis County Judge
Elshire used to be for it, but now we've done about 30, 40 programs on it or more over the past 5, 6 months, and we've got the state education code. I've done whole shows on it. I'm not doing that here. It is totally unconstitutional. They have to have a warrant because they are. You heard Rocky Mandrano. They're gathering intelligence. They're handing out fines like candy. And if they're going to go to your house to do that, they got to have a warrant, my friend. Now, if you want to get the nail in the coffin, because now Elshire is starting to turn against it, and the court's starting to turn against it because it's lawsuit time, this thing is in big trouble, call those numbers on your screen. And you may see this play, again, the taping of this show is in late June. You may see this in July or August. Doesn't matter. Keep the heat on. Keep hammering. Keep driving. Call those numbers. Those are for all your county commissioners. And basically, it's fine for constables to be out there catching kids on the street and things, but to go to somebody's house and with the first time they miss and show people who's boss is wrong. You also heard him say that 400 kids more are doing that. The program started in '94. Steve Lane has the numbers from the state education code, and then he has the Austin AISD actual truancy numbers. Truancy has been dropping since 1991. The program wasn't instituted until 1994. And the rate of increase in attendance of the schools was going like this, and then they start the program and it's going like that. So yes, it is still increasing, but it's actually planed off. I don't think that sending constables making people send their kids less. I just think that, you know, things got better for a while, and now it's just planed off, and it's slowly increasing, getting better. It's just their statistics are flawed, they're ridiculous, and then the reason this all started is my producer. They came to his house, and his kid had missed one day. I mean, it's just insanity, and his kid was there with the flu. So it's just out of control, and it's wrong. Now let's play a quick clip, and I'll play more in the future of other programs, but I haven't had time to really even watch all of it. The whole thing is just totally riddled. And I'm talking riddled with the commissioner saying, well, this is wrong. You lied to us on this. Well, this is a point. This is a point. But here Elshire makes some good points. Number one, and this is on the tape, we don't have time to play it all, they're going to have $1 million of new taxes. They're running way over budget. They're making, how many visits a night? Is it 450 to 500 visits a night? And they're sending armed constables, and they're not making phone calls like they used to. And there's one quote by the bureaucrat, and we'll play that on other shows, where he sits there and he says, and this is the most incredible part, he says that we've had some healthy tax increases this year so that they can pay for this. It's just insane. So we'll go ahead and go to this quick clip of Elshire talking about armed people going to your house. Then we'll be back. We'll play President Clinton talking about UN forces coming to America to fight the drug war, which the CIA brings the drugs in. It's incredible. If you want to know what's happening, all you have to do with the drug war is... Can we hold on a second? And I know I diverge, but it's all interconnected. I'm trying to explain power bases to you. And when we play this other clip later, you're not going to believe it off C-SPAN. It's President Clinton saying that UN troops or UN anti-drug forces, international forces are coming here to help us. And then once you know that the CIA has a history of bringing drugs into this country, it's ridiculous. But then you understand British intelligence, the British model, which our country's modeled after. Our Delta Force, modeled after the SAS. Our CIA, modeled after their intelligence networks. We work hand in glove with them. They use the drug war in the Boxer Rebellion in China. It's a classic tactic. So study the Boxer Rebellion about 100 years ago in China, and you'll know exactly what's happening here in our country. Create the crisis, offer the solution. Let's go ahead and go to the ASAP, then we'll get back. We will go to President Clinton talking about, again, how wonderful the UN is. Go ahead.
Kevin, and that's what we've always said, and it's like Darwin said, we really believe the first line of defense here is the parent. That's the resource we really want to help support, nurture, that the parent will keep their child and take responsibility for keeping their child in place. I think the information you cite doesn't prove that we needed to have that officer there and do that visit, even if it was only once and they didn't have an absence again. I think what we've got to test is whether it was really even necessary to do anything other than make sure the parent knew, and whether it has to be done with an officer's personal visit. That's the area of the question of efficiency, and it also simultaneously speaks to what our brothers and sisters have spoken to during citizens communication ad nausea. But with all due respect to their point of view, if we don't have to use a badge to make the point, let's don't. And we've got kind of a parallel but separate interest there. Ours is efficiency. Theirs is just the image. Well, let's see. And frankly, that's what the Commissioner's Court requests for the phone call experiment. I think that may have been misdirected. To ask y'all to do that as opposed to see if we couldn't have those phone calls made at the school, might have been a better test.
We're about to go into our first full year of doing that with a commitment from both school districts that we're going to get a lot better data. And I think that the experience is going to be that the number of referrals we get will drop off, and especially in elementary school, that first phone call.
Elephant, we don't want to hear you. That's Bruce Elephant. I mean, Elfont or Elfato. Elephant? Elephant. Elfont, I always get his name wrong. I think it's Bruce Elfant. I have trouble pronouncing his name. But to be absolutely serious about these people, he's been very rude to us in the past, so I'll be rude to him. They're running around out there. Oh, also, was it Cardenas? I forget the name of the constable that got caught raping little girls or something. Yeah, it was, and then he tried to threaten the family or something. Well, he's in custody. Good. Good. I'm glad he's in custody. Mr. Cardenas. So who's out there watching your kids? I'm serious. It's sick. It's wrong. And a lot is being done, and the commissioners are waking up to the fact of the matter. Now, you heard him talk about the phone call experiment. We got him to change it. We got them where they make a phone call now the first time so you're not dead in the ditch. But the problem is they're having to pay police officers or constables, law enforcement, to make the phone call because it's law enforcement. And they're paid more. Rather than when I was a kid, they had a couple of people there at the school to call in the morning. So now, you know, Elshire's making some sense. I'm a little surprised. That's good. He's saying we're going to make the schools make these phone calls. So it's getting even better. Put the nails in the coffin of this program. Round the kids up at the mall, round them up at the park, round them up when they're on the street. But don't come to our houses at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Mike, how late have the reports been? 12 o'clock at night. They admit they go at 9. That is absolute insanity. Now, this video you're fixing to see, it's the PLA tape in there, Mike. That's how it's marked. This is President Clinton. It's some bad video. Somebody, again, must have had bad cable connection. I appreciate the people sending it to me. This is President Clinton, and we'll repeat it several times, him saying it. They had a summit last week in mid-June of '98. UN drug fighting summit. The excuse to inject supernational police into our streets. I mean, my God. The UN is going to be the world police force. And a year ago, I used to laugh at this. But congressmen are admitting it. You name it are admitting it. But first, you're going to see some quotes by Congressman Rohrabacher and others real fast. And a caller calls into Fox News and says, and I have to admit, Fox News has got some better information. I'm very, very surprised at some of this information. I mean, the information came out on Fox, which I already knew about, but it came out in mainstream first, except for Forbes magazine, but it came out second on Fox about the organs of political dissidents in China being sold to people. It was a CNN, I mean, it was a C-SPAN hearing in Congress, but nobody else wanted to carry it. Not CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, but Fox did carry that. And now Fox is letting people get up there and talk about how the Chinese are training in Alaska. A caller calls in to the congressman and asks him, and the congressman goes, yeah. And then he gets on to Clinton, and he's talking about how the UN's going to do this for us. It's Clinton at the UN talking about how we're going to have UN police here in our streets. Thank you so much, President Clinton, for lowering down America's shields. The shields are down. Analogy, shields are down. Thank you, President Clinton. Oh, and you know, I forgot. This is late Friday night we're taping this. I forgot to bring I've got a New York Times from a couple of weeks ago somebody just gave me. I'd missed it. They had a big old thing in there about how wonderful Sea Launch is, this Russian and Chinese company working with Loral and Hughes Space and Aeronautics for missile launchers that'll be launched from oil rigs at sea. And they're going to be based in the Pacific right off the California coast. I told you about that 8 months ago. And then they whitewash it in the New York Times. But let's go ahead and get to that. And then when we get back, we'll go right to Chief of Police Al A. Philippus and the Delta Force. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yeah, there's me at Long Beach where the Chinese have moved in. And, you know, it seems like the New York Times is always peddling this international slavery. I've shown you many times the picture of I guess it was a year and a half ago when it first came out about the Chinese at Long Beach. And they did a big spread in there, and it showed an old palm tree and said the historical, old, rundown Long Beach Naval Base. Well, you know what? That's true. It's such a huge naval base that there's an old naval base within the naval base. And that's what they showed you. No, in my documentary, America Destroyed by Design, it shows you this giant area that you have to 360 around to show you the giant shipyards. One of the biggest shipyards in the country. And the only shipyard on the West Coast that can service dry dock aircraft carriers. You can service them at the other ports, but you can't dry dock them. This is insane. But let's go ahead and go to real quick clips of the congressman talking about the Chinese and the missiles, and then we'll get to Clinton telling you how wonderful the UN police are.
Forever, they should be tried for treason and everything else we can think of.
And if the president undercut the investigation into that with that waiver, he should take responsibility for it.
Sure, if he undercut an investigation, certainly, but I
well,
think
we know
what
he
you'll
did. He
find
was warned by
yesterday that the administration has invited the Chinese to observe military operations in Alaska. Why don't we just let them go ahead and place the missiles in Long Beach?
They permitted the Chinese to come over here and train their police, even though this is a vicious dictatorship.
All right, Congressman Wexler, for the point of clarification.
The United States is also a partner in global law enforcement and interdiction efforts, fighting anti-drug and crime, funding anti-drug and crime training for more than 82,050 officials last year. In 1997, records for eradication in 1997. Peruvian coca, so a partner in global law enforcement and interdiction efforts. Fighting the UN International Drug Control Program under Executive Director Arleki's leadership is combating drugs production, drug trafficking, and drug abuse in some of the most difficult corners of the world, while helping to make sure the money we spend brings maximum results. Under executive, we will do our part in the United States to make this goal a reality. Problem. And every nation must act to fight them. On the streets, around the kitchen table, and around the world. Attitudes drive actions. Therefore, we wage first the battle in the minds of our young people. Working with Congress and the private sector, I am especially pleased to announce the establishment of an international drug fellowship program that will enable professionals from all around the world to come to the United States and work with our drug-fighting agencies. The establishment program that will enable professionals from all around the world to come to the United States and work with our drug-fighting agencies. The focus will be on the priorities of this special session: demand reduction, stimulants, precursors, money laundering, judicial cooperation, alternative development, and eradication of illicit crops. These fellowships will help all of us. It will help our nations to learn from one another while building a global force of skilled and experienced drug crusaders. Together we must extend the long arm of the law and the hand of compassion to match the global reach of this problem. Let us leave here determined to act together in a spirit of trust and respect, at home and abroad, against demand and supply, using all the tools at our disposal to win. That is why I am especially pleased to announce the establishment of an international drug fellowship program that will enable professionals from all around the world to come to the United States and work with our drug-fighting agencies. The focus will be on the priorities of this special session.
Military. Okay, I apologize. That tape was sent to me by someone I vaguely know, and generally it looked like it was edited, but I've actually read on the UN's own website. It's all true. I wish the person to get stuff off TV by hitting start and stop on their VCR, and then later they pop in another one and just give me clips, and I appreciate it. I don't know what was wrong with that video, but I need to get off my butt and get that tape from C-SPAN or something and get it crisp and clear for you and play it in its entirety. I'm sure it was an hour-long diatribe by Clinton. But you can go to the UN's website and go to their global drug fighting program, and it won't all be choppy. You can check it out for yourself. I mean, I rely on people sending me tapes and other information. Before we go to Chief Al A. Philippus talking about the Delta Force, we're going to go to some unedited tape or I should say unbutchered tape. Wasn't even edited, it was just kind of clips. We're going to go to a hearing in the mid-'80s during Iran-Contra where FEMA accidentally slipped out about the concentration camp plans. And now, since then, with Rex 84, which was that plan that you're fixing to see, there's now over 125 of these under Senate Resolution 21. And there's even more prisons that are out in the open that they've built, and they're making all types of new victimless crime. So we'll go to that, and then when we get back, we will go to the Chief of Police talking about the Delta Force, federal troops in your streets, right here on the Freedom Report. We're not quite ready for that? Okay. That was my producer's idea. He said, hey, we ought to play that FEMA tape. And I'm like, hell yeah, that'll... You know, I've got today's New York Times right here. They have a painting by Bernard here. And I knew right when I saw it who the painter was. I didn't have to be all cultured. You know, the people that read this, most of them don't even know that oil painting was by Bernard. I just like Impressionist painting. I'm an oil painter myself. And they put this art in here to make you feel like it's cultured and a good magazine. No, it's a filthy banker rag, a CFR rag to manipulate and destroy our sovereignty for the European empire to take over. And global power, the strong, long arm of power and compassion, as you heard Clinton call it. And then I see the weekend. It's movies and performing arts, the New York Times. To the rescue. Sullen agents and a cross-dressing girl. Big screen X-Files tries to find the truth. Conspiracy theorists consider this. What of the hush-hush atmosphere and the internet mania surrounding the first X-Files feature film were part of a giant plot to hide the uneventfulness of one of the more, says crappy films. I mean, think about this. I don't ever watch X-Files. I'm sure you might enjoy it for escapism. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm compared all the time to these people. Everything I'm talking about is reality-based. All right, let's go to the FEMA tape. This is them in the 80s. It comes out then. A clip of Henry B. Gonzales.
Were you not assigned at one time to work on plans for the continuity of government in the event of a major disaster?
Mr. Chairman.
I believe that question touches upon a highly sensitive and classified area, so may I request that you not touch upon that, sir?
I was particularly concerned, Mr. Chairman, because I read in Miami papers and several others that there had been a plan developed by that same agency, a contingency plan in the event of emergency that would suspend the American Constitution. And I was deeply concerned about it and wondered if that was the area in which he had worked. I believe that it was, but I wanted to get his
May I most
confirmation.
respectfully request that that matter not be touched upon at this stage. If we wish to get into this, I'm certain arrangements can be made for an executive session.
And tragically, the only member who got close was Jack Brooks, and he was stopped by the chairman. But the truth of the matter is that, yes, you do have those standby provisions, and the plans are there, and the statutory emergency plans are there, whereby you could, in the name of stopping terrorism, apprehend, invoke the military, and arrest Americans and hold them in detention camps.
If the president ordered a direct strike into Central America, which was to be codenamed Operation Night Train.
And that is, again, from the 80s, talking about it, but it's been there before, it's been there for a long time, and it's been accelerating and getting a lot bigger. You're probably asking, Alex, why do you continually talk about all this gloom and doom? We need to talk about it. It's not gloom and doom. I mean, here locally, a small group of citizens have had an effect. We've changed things. We've gotten things done. We stopped the Delta Force from coming to town. We've had major victories. We got the ASAP program reformed, and now commissioners are talking about just getting rid of the whole thing. I mean, we're having a major effect. We've exposed the growing police state, and that's what it's going to take in this nation. And I don't even claim to do the best job at this. I don't like to come in here to tell you the truth. But it's something I've got to do. And actually, I do like it a lot to be able to expose the lies. But we as Americans, as human beings, have got to study history. And I go back to that over and over again. And quit thinking that violence and crime and manipulation and balkanization and Machiavellian politics aren't here with us today. They are here more so than ever. Just that now it's a more kindler, gentler, authoritarian power base that's growing and becoming more avarice and more ruthless. There's just a pretty velvet glove on it, but the seam's starting to spread, and we're starting to see it. And when you see the president up there talking about global interdiction forces, and again, I challenge you not to go from that bad video that somebody sent me, which I still appreciate, it's better than nothing. I challenge you to go to the UN's own website and just see the excuses and the filth on there. And it's all packaged very nicely for you, but again, I could put a turd in a box, a nice pretty box, spray some perfume on it, and you'll probably buy it. But inside there is barbed wire and slavery. That's all it is. You know, all through my life, I've never liked bullies. And I'm asking you out there, I know you're not bullies. There's a lot of good people, but you don't know how to change things. You don't know what to do. You don't know what you can do. You've got the ideas. You're creative. Spend a few hours a month lobbying or calling or writing letters or going out and opposing bureaucrats or going down to Commissioner's Court or City Council. Whatever you believe in, whatever your cause is, just get involved. Don't make it so easy for them. Don't make it so cookie cutter. That's all I want you to do. You're watching the Freedom Report again. This is a tape program. Stay tuned for part 2 coming up in just a few seconds. And you're going to see the Chief of Police, Al A. Philippus, in San Antonio. Again, I've been promoting that quite a bit. He stopped the Delta Force from coming. Wasn't in their mission purview. We stopped them here in Austin. Texas is the only state in the union that's kicked up a Delta Force. I've talked to people all around the country. Other radio hosts like Lou Epton and others. Anthony Hilder in California. They've been going everywhere and doing this stuff. And we stopped them. Amen for Texas. That's what it's all about. Local control opposing Big Brother. That's the only way we can win this fight is with local control. That's pivotal and that's key. We need alliances of locales and states that recognize the common threat of international crime rings, white-collar organized crime. That's who controls it. Now here's the Chief of Police. Take the Gestapo money. San Antonio is not one. Let's go ahead and get to the chief. As soon as the story broke, we understood the importance of it and thought it should be national news. Of course, it didn't even make the papers here in Austin.
Chief Philippus, we really appreciate you taking out the time. A lot of public officials and public servants are afraid to even talk to the public or the press about things like this. When did you first become aware that Delta Force, the most elite training force in America, is what the Pentagon says, wanted to train with actual live fire or blanks here in San Antonio? Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. That actually started probably, I want to say, back in February when they first approached us, maybe even earlier than that, about doing some operations, in the San Antonio area.
And we'll get into this more later, and I appreciate you taking the time again. Well, basically, you're the person that knows about it. What were your major reservations in asking the mayor to tell them that y'all didn't want them to train here and to cease training here?
Well, a lot of things happened. First of all, the organization came into the city and never really approached the city as a whole. We've gotten together with the mayor and said we need to speak to all these different departments and request some assistance. Various groups and individuals came into the city and approached different people at different levels. The police department was contacted, the city manager's office was contacted about using city facilities, various business owners were contacted through the economic development department, the fire department was contacted by different individuals. So there was never any coordinated approach to the city of San Antonio. When we found out of that, we had some reservations, but we were willing at least to listen. But then we started finding out that discussions were happening at other different levels, and there was no communication, no coordination between that. We also found out that leases had been negotiated with private business people throughout the city to utilize their vacant buildings without any coordination with the police department, because we were originally told there were probably going to be a couple of locations, and later on we find out there's 12 locations. And yet we were never brought into this at the beginning.
Last Saturday's Austin American Statesman did an article about how they're practicing taking over police departments in Chicago. In fact, I've got a copy of that. I can give you a copy of that in the interview. I should have brought it up from my car. I just remembered. That's one thing that some cities I've heard have had reservations about. They call it touring the police department, but they actually practice dynamic entry and other things at the police departments. I heard that they were planning to do this in Houston, that they've already done some training along with the Marines and other forces of the military. Have you ever heard of anything like this before?
No, I have not. They did offer to allow our SWAT teams to do training with them in these particular exercises, but, you know, our missioners are different. Theirs deals specifically with international type situations. Our deals with local situations, and if an incident were to occur in this country, it would be local law enforcement, the FBI, and others that would deal with that.
Whereas the Delta Force is purely kill the terrorist.
Whatever it is. I'm not so sure what it is, but it's at an international level, and so our missions, our tactics are somewhat different. And I'm very proud of the SWAT team that we have. I think we have one of the best in the country. We do a lot of training for other agencies, and I think that we have the skills and the expertise to deal with those situations.
Why did the mayor, and I heard this quoted on KTSA, San Antonio 550 station 2 days ago, I heard it quoted that the mayor said that he didn't appreciate the dishonesty of the Delta Force. I was curious. We called the mayor's office, and they, Jackie O'Donnell, I believe her name, she told us that you were the mayor's spokesman on this. Can you tell us exactly why the mayor would use such strong language and call them dishonest?
Well, I think that there were various approaches. For example, when I originally said no several weeks ago, matter of fact, a couple of months ago, but no was never no, and then no was never no. End of runs were done around to various community leaders. I had someone...
Excuse me, sir, you're saying that they ignored the police chief, and under our Constitution, you're the same as the sheriff, and you run the city or the county? You're telling me that Delta Force was ignoring your order?
Well, I don't want to say they ignored it, but in a roundabout way, yes, because what they would do, once I said no, they went to various individuals in the community to bring pressure to bear to get me to change my mind. For example, there was a community leader who I have a great deal of respect for, and we have a very good relationship that they went to. I get a call from him, and he says, Chief, there's some people in here that they're in town, and part of their role here, didn't say who it was, they need to meet with the mayor and the police chief. Well, of course, this gentleman, I've worked very closely with him on a number of projects. I said, sure, have him give me a call. Now, I'd already said no. Well, then I find out it's the same group. So they identified somebody, apparently, that I know that's very high in the community to make an approach to me and get me to change my mind. Well, then, when we said no, then some elected officials were contacted to bring pressure to bear. And then offers were made to give money, cash money, to elected officials' charities if they could get us to change our minds. I mean, you know, as one of my deputy chiefs said, in some circles that's called bribery.
Well, it is called bribery, but more importantly, it's called manipulation of the constitutional system and the takeover of local police departments. And that $4.6 billion that we just saw in the Statesman that's so wonderful is buying them a lot of control. If they can't buy the police chiefs off like they did Elizabeth Watson for that $244,000 a year job at the Justice Department. Let's hear him say that one more time.
To make an approach to me and get me to change my mind. Well, then, when we said no, then some elected officials were contacted to bring pressure to bear. And then offers were made to give money, cash money, to elected officials' charities if they could get us to change our minds. I mean, you know, as one of my deputy chiefs said, in some circles that's called bribery.
Why do you think, and again this is just speculation, I've seen the large bookshelf of policing and criminology over there, and I know it's no small task to be a police chief of a modern city. Why do you think in Chicago, and if you're not aware of this, I'll get you a copy of it, that they're practicing taking over police stations and fire stations and bridges. That seems like a military takeover of the city.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even want to speculate on that. I'm not familiar that those types of things are occurring.
Oh, yeah.
Certainly, there was no approach made to us to do those kind of things.
Well, that's good. You talked about a memo from Delta Force?
Yeah, because what happened is various elected officials were being contacted. I have 10 city council members and a mayor, and I just wanted to alert them as to what was happening, that these situations were occurring, that they might be contacted by these individuals, and that in the best interest of public safety, and that's what I continue to fall back on, we didn't feel that it was in the best interest of the citizens of San Antonio to do that type of thing. All I can say is that, no just never seemed to be no. And even after they told us, we don't need you, we're still going to do our training exercise at other locations in and around the San Antonio area, but we're allowed to do them here. Next time, I'm still getting contacted by various officials. I mean, they never would take no for an answer.
So they weren't respecting your jurisdiction?
They were not respecting our jurisdiction. I don't think they respected our decision to go into predominantly minority areas of the city where we had vacant warehouses and buildings and try to do those types of exercises at those locations in the middle of the night.
Oh, I'm sorry, middle of the night?
In the middle of the night, sometime between 9 p.m. and midnight. People become frightened. And we drew a lot of our decision-making on experiences that had happened in a lot of other cities. We were very concerned with some things that have happened over there, and we didn't get any real good, clear answers.
So they were being secretive about it?
Very secretive.
And you kind of, the city and the mayor and yourself, as the police chief, you kind of felt that it was a little odd that they wouldn't trust y'all. I mean, y'all are the authorities here.
A little odd, and once I made contact with my peers in some of the other major cities, and they shared with me some of their experiences over there, the decision really was very easy. My interest as police chief is the citizens of the city,
yes, sir.
Period. And I was not about to jeopardize the safety under an exercise of this magnitude under any circumstance.
Well, you can't say it any better than that. This isn't some wild conspiracy theorist. This is Al Philippus, head police chief in San Antonio, Texas. Oh, and the mayor, too, Howard Peak. He says that it's dangerous and that they're dishonest. And, of course, there's former Delta Force commanders like Stephen Barry there to tell you that it's to round up the general population. It's a practice run. Oh, and by the way, according to the May 10th, 1998, Sunday edition of the Austin American Statesman, Metro and State, they're conferring with people here in Austin, and sometime after June of this summer, they plan to have this training here in Austin, Texas. I guess our safety isn't important. Despite the track record in North Carolina, $100,000 damage, and in Miami, a stray bullet from the Delta Force going into a crowded restaurant. What is wrong with Kirk Watson? I hope he shows the same will that Mayor Howard Peak did. But I think Watson's just concerned with making all the big, fat, juicy kickbacks. Fix it, Watson. That's your job. Protect us. Quit sucking off us. And some of you are probably saying, oh, Alex, why are you being so angry about this? Because the statesmen, they know this has happened down in San Antonio. They know this is going on. They're not that ignorant. 4 days after all this comes down, they're writing stories about how wonderful it is and how they're coming to town, these secret teams. I mean, this is dangerous. Helicopters could crash. Anything could happen with these low-flying night missions. And Kirk Watson and these people, they know this is going on. They should throw the Delta Force and all the rest of them out of our city. And I'll get to that later. These are the guys that have a history of spraying our cities with biological weapons. Yes, I'll get to that later, but back to the chief. I'm just documenting every bit of this because I'm tired of it. The propaganda's out of control.
And once I made contact with my peers in some of the other major cities, and they shared with me some of their experiences over there, the decision really was very easy. My interest as police chief is the citizens of the city,
yes, sir.
Period. And I was not about to jeopardize the safety under an exercise of this magnitude under any circumstance.
What types of training were they wanting to engage in? I I mean, again, I heard some reports that they wanted to do live fire with blanks, perhaps actually some incendiary flashbangs and things.
Yeah, I don't know the particulars of that. I know that they wanted to use some explosives for entry into some of these buildings, some of the so-called ceramic bullets, which would be fired into little traps, which were supposed to catch those, which would disintegrate supposedly on contact. But I know that in one city, American city, that one of those bullets got astray and going through a window and down almost into a restaurant. So things can go wrong.
What city was that?
I believe that it was in Miami.
That's incredible. So basically right now, as it stands, and until they actually confer with y'all better or change their plans, they're not really welcome to train here in San Antonio?
We are not going to support any of their operations. They may do something at the various military bases here in San Antonio. That certainly is their jurisdiction, but we will not support any operations in the city limits.
I want you to know something. The decision you've made, if things continue to move with the European Union, and Chrysler just got bought, they're probably going to buy up most of the Fortune 500. They're coming online with a new currency. There are a lot of people in Clinton's cabinet and they're in control that are pushing this, and I just want to commend you for what you've done, but in the future, we really, and there's a small chance of this, but we really count on law enforcement officials locally like y'all to protect the people and uphold the law. And again, I just want to commend you for recognizing some of the behavior of the Delta Force and expelling them.
Well, I appreciate that. Again, the decision really was not that difficult. We have the interest of the citizens of San Antonio. This is a military city. We have a tremendous amount of respect for the military and what they do. But I do not have any respect for the tactics that were used by the advance team coming in here.
You're saying that they were disrespectful?
Well, there is the police chief talking to you about the very serious issues. And Chief Philippus really stood up to it. We want to commend him for what he's done. So in the last hour and 20 minutes, you've seen a lot of stuff happen. You've seen Clinton talking about UN peacekeeping, drug interdiction forces coming into the country. You've seen Tony Brown, well-known, well-respected journalist, talking about what he's uncovered, the same things I've uncovered. The facts are the facts are the facts. You've seen here locally with the ASAP program that we're actually nailing some of the final nails in the coffin. The bottom line is you have political power. And you've got to get involved. You've got to get motivated. Not just the Mike Hansons or the Alex Joneses or the Steve Lanes or the Greg Ericksons or the Jeff Contreras of the country. And yes, it's the County Commissioners Court meeting at 9 a.m. every Tuesday. And it's down at 314 West 11th Street in the Stokes Building, the county courthouse, not the city courthouse. And you really need to get involved, not just in ASAP or any of these other programs, but a lot of other things that you're concerned with. The answer is that we're all motivated, that we're all involved, that we're all focused and pushing cohesively for smaller government and more individual power. And this is something that we've really got to do. Now, I've talked about my plan, and I'm writing my plan and codifying it and putting it on paper, or on a computer actually, as we speak. And my plan is a simple one. It's grassroots. Nothing new about that. The Democrats and the Republicans know about that. They understand that. And they go around and peddle their BS to you, and nothing ever seems to get done. Well, my plan is to create an alliance of communities that are against the supranational federal government that is usurping our Bill of Rights and our liberty and our birthright of freedom. But before we get this national alliance of locales, cities, counties, states, and then regions, we've got to start winning over our commissioners and winning over our council members. And we have to be very vehement and attack those that we know are members of the establishment that are lackeys that are diametrically opposed. We need to push forward to the front ministers, monks, Buddhist monks. I don't care what religion. We need to push leaders that are good on a non-religious basis, but people that aren't out for money. We need to push doctors and lawyers and school teachers and accountants and auto mechanics. We need people from the community that have a set vision, that aren't going to be swayed by the pragmatism and the relativism that is paramount to today's society. And once we've been able to do that, the first step is just getting one council member elected that's like Congressman Ron Paul. Somebody that knows the history of the world, knows what freedom's all about, understands how corruption breeds and works, who will oppose it as a bully pulpit. One person who's a real patriot, who won't be swayed by backroom deals and luncheons. One person that doesn't want to retire from their public service to go to a delayed kickback in the corporate sector because they did all these favors for people. One person who will get up there and passionately speak and oppose this type of stuff. Then we can get more people elected as time moves forward. You take the environmentalists in this town who aren't environmentalists at all. I don't mean the people on the ground that are conned. I mean the city council, which is just stacked now. It started with one person, then two, then three, then four, then five, then six, until the whole council. And now they're out taking your taxpayer money and buying property, 15,000 acres of it in Prop 2. And what did they do? Now they're admitting that they're going to sell some of it. It's huge political power that they're gaining. That'll keep them in there forever under the guise of environmentalism. Then they'll retire to their posh jobs. People they've done political favors for. We're going to have to get people that don't care about the kickbacks, that don't care about the power and the pettiness, people that are there for 4 or 5, 2, 4, 5, 6 years. They're going to do their job and then turn it over to somebody else, get somebody else elected. They're going to use their political power to push for more information. Who are going to go up against Capital Metro and how corrupt it is. They're going to go up against all these alphabet agencies, the health department out giving $2,000 fines for 3-inch grass. We've done stories on that. You're being taxed on your car, taxed on your gas, taxed on your food, taxed on your taxed on everything. You're being taxed on your property. You're being taxed on capital gains. You're being taxed when you die. You're being given federal taxes. Now they're talking about national sales tax. You've got it just goes on and on. You pay taxes on the people that pay taxes on the product that you buy. And meanwhile, the third world with all the slaves, they're being industrialized. The people are staying slaves, and we're being deindustrialized because there's no incentive for investment in this country. All we've got on our side in this country now is media, advanced armaments, and technology. And our technology sector is under attack by the federal government, which is paid off by Europe that can't compete with Bill Gates and Intel. Bill Gates and Microsoft are under attack, and now Intel, which makes the best microprocessors, is under attack. Everything America's about is under attack. It's an economic war, and you've seen the evidence in the last hour and 20 minutes. Now, it's going to take people of dedication. People, you can call the comment line and say, I got a story, I got an idea, it's all wrong, attaboy, doing a great job. That's fine. If you got any stories or any information, that's great. You got some corruption, you want to step out in the limelight, you don't, and it's a painful limelight. You want to take the risk, then you need to give us a call right there at 370-9558. But if you want to get involved, I'm not going to tell you how to get involved. You'll hear about protests we're having. That's fine. Come out to protest. You'll hear about we're going down to the city council, or we're going down to the commissioner's court, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. That's great to come down and show up at those meetings. But you don't need for us to have to tell you to come down to the meetings. You should be watching the city council. It's boring. But it's not boring once you realize the corruption that's going on. You should find out your own issue without us telling you to go down. You should go down of your own accord. You should get your neighbors and friends, and if you know what's going on, you should write a book. You should write a pamphlet. You should pass it out to friends. See what I'm talking about? Everybody can have their own cottage industry of freedom and information to the public, and we'll wash over this establishment and rectify many of the corrupt systems. Now, it's never going to be perfect, but I say this many times, and it's my mantra. Corruption's a hard battle. It's always going to be here. People that are corrupt and have avarice and are manipulative and good liars are always going to be here and are always going to be sucking off of us and conning people. A lot of stupid people. You're always going to have the phone sex lines and the psychic lines and the home shopping networks selling you garbage. But that's people's free will. But we don't want these con groups of people voting for all this socialism for the establishment. This consolidate the wealth program, not share the wealth program. We got to deprogram them, or we got enough well-meaning, thoughtful Americans to get involved and to get on the team so we don't have another depression like we had in 29. You know, the bankers told us in 1913, when in a quorum call of 3 senators on December 23rd, 1913, whenever they passed the Federal Reserve Act. 3 senators did it in a quorum call, in a proxy vote. And they told us we'd never have another depression. Well, by 1929, we had the biggest in U.S. history. You see, wealth is not destroyed, it's merely transferred. Now you have the stock market going above 9,000. It's going up and down, getting us used to those cycles. And traders like Roosevelt, British agent, they made their money in heroin running. Just read it, it's documented. They conned the American people, and in 33 banned the gold. But that's the solutions, that's the answer. Abolish the Federal Reserve, take the power to print and coin money out of the private banks' hands, abolish fractional reserve banking, institute constitutional money, or we're going to be doomed because they've gotten us used to the stock market going up and down. Up and down, up and down, but it's always going up. Like, let me show the public out there what I'm talking about. The stock market's been doing like this. Going up, went down in 87, but it's always going up. And now it's shot straight up. So, but they do these small dips to get you used to it fluctuating. Oh, stay in, the long haul, the long haul. Then the next 2 years, and a lot of top people are saying this because it's over 9,000, the PE ratios are off the scales. The debt of this nation makes Rome look like a joke during its decline and fall, and it's out of control. Inflation is a must in the future, and a lot of economists say this is a plane that we can't land. It's going to crash. We're going to have a depression. What can you do? You can get out of debt. You can pay off all your bills. And more importantly, you can educate your friends and family, because when the crisis comes, they're going to offer you false solutions. A national ID card, thumb scanning to buy and sell, rations, all the rest of this crap, whether it's Y2K or whatever excuse they use. And I want to put that back up there about the Firestone family. Most people don't realize that Roosevelt banned gold in 33. I'm not saying go back on the gold standard because it's all been shipped to Europe. And the EU is going to be partially gold-backed currency. What I'm saying to people out there is that we absolutely must educate people about what's happening. Now, why did we ban gold? Well, because it was a way to hand us paper, and by gunpoint, they made people turn in their gold. The government went around looking for stocks of gold, made people turn it in, and then some U.S. corporations that weren't in the inner circle, like the Firestone family, what did they have to do? They had to go set up dummy corporations in Europe and buy gold for themselves. And Europe's got it all. Europe laughs at us what their agent Roosevelt did, that British agent. He came over here, paid off our people, conned everybody, gave us paper back, took the gold, shipped it to Europe. That's all historical fact. I mean, God, think of the level of the con games and the flat-out charlatans that we've accepted. It makes me want to pull my hair out. I mean, I don't know what to say to people out there that they do not realize this. I mean, that's why I'll continue to over and over and over again speak to the public and repeat this information and bring you new news stories. But the answer is always going to be the same. This show isn't Princess Di or any of the rest of that crap. This show isn't OJ. This show isn't any of that. This show is about real politics, who controls the world. So again, it's very simple. You have got yourself to get motivated. And we've got to seize control peaceably through the political process of Austin, Texas. But Congressman Ron Paul said on my radio program, on 98.9 KJFK, I'm an FM radio host here in Central Texas. He said to the congressman told me, he said, Alex, we're going into this. He said, we're already in the system. And the key is education, so once they really put the screws to us, people won't put up with it. Don't worry about those dumb people that are never going to listen to you. They're furniture. They don't matter. Furniture is moved and pushed around and used. I'm worried about you. You know it's true. Your inner compass tells you it's true. You read the documents. You see the information. You see the media manipulating you with polls and push polls and operant conditioning. You know what psychology is. You know about economics. You own a small business. You own a large business. You feel like you're part of the establishment, but now you're starting to realize you're really not. You're part of a false establishment, one that the media throws out there. You feel like you're wealthy, but now you're finding out that you're poor in information. You're poor in controlling your own destiny. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what America's all about. This has been the Freedom Report. Please get involved. Things are not relative. There is black and white, there is corruption, and there is heroes. You can be a hero. Every man, woman, and child of you. Take care of yourselves. Think for yourselves. When you turn this program off, don't just turn it off. You get involved. You get mad. You go talk to your neighbors. You talk to your boss. Realize that corrupt corporations are running the small corporations out of business. They're using regulators.
Stay tuned right here for more classics.
It is the best and most comprehensive book on Bohemian Grove, and it's written by Mike Hanson, my old camera guy.
Mike Hanson Archives.
To support this channel, I just got a new box of books in, and I will send you a signed copy if you want to write us here at P.O. Box 481, Gonzales, Texas 78629. Send $25 and we will send you don't have to send any shipping, just send $25 and we'll use it to put more VHS tapes up. Look at that. Good Alex right there. Okay, and then also if you want to call, there's the box of books. If you want to call, I don't hear no phones ringing in there yet. If you want to call here, we got people answering the phones here. I don't hear no phones ringing yet. If you want to call us, our phone number is 830-672-3089. I got that right this time, didn't I? Okay, and look, there's the phones ringing. Okay, and then we got people over here working hard on putting tapes up tonight, right? Okay.
It is the best and most comprehensive book on Bohemian Grove, and it's written by Mike Hanson, my old camera guy.
Mike Hanson Archives.
You ready to run? This is what I live for. Yeah!
We are winning this battle, man. We are winning. What people will remember this. People will remember this forever. Either we're going forward to the stars, we're going to evolve to the next level, we're going to get past these petty problems and not have some perfect world, but gain some equilibrium, or we're going down the tubes into a total technocracy of absolute hell.
You don't think the average American is just a lazy ass and they just don't
see what you see or what we
I don't
see.
want to stop you, sir, but we do need to thank the sponsor. Hold on a second.
All right.
98.9 KJFK FM, 98.9 FM, All Talk Radio sponsors this program. They support free speech in Central Texas. 98.9 KJFK, the First Amendment at its best. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was just saying. I mean, I just think, you know, if you look at the average American, you know, as long as they're comfortable, they're free. And that's not the case. But, you know, I just don't see enough people out there with, you know, your passion or, you know, whatever.
I used to be the same way. I used to have this inner frustration. I was doing good in life, great shape, oil painting, managing a business, doing great, but I would watch C-SPAN, because I'm kind of a nerd, and I would see something happen, and I'd see them lie on the nightly news. And it wasn't my opinion. I saw it happen. And I said, what's going on here? And I don't have all the answers, but I'm learning more and more. And I know this. Big government's for the rich. They're screwing you. I'm free market. Break the paradigm. We shall, we will, we must prevail.
But everyone knows that, and they just don't care, man.
No, that's not it. They have not had the initiative. They have not been shown the value. They are greedy. They have been manipulated. They have been dumbed down. They have had their morale pushed to the floor. But the Founding Fathers were only 3 to 4% of the population, the people that actually stood up and fought. I would guess it's 10% that are actually going to fight. And I think this government's in deep trouble. We're not revolutionaries. We are people upholding the existing Constitution and the existing Bill of Rights. I support our constitutional government. I am not anti-government. I am anti-parasite, anti-corruption, local law enforcement getting the bids up. And we're fixing to go to that story. Thank you for your call. Okay, what is that guy's name? We did the story 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I forget his name. We have a shot of his name tag. Oh, this is Recon's tape. You don't have your tape. Okay, we have Margaret Gomez, County Commissioner. You want documentation? There it is for you. Calling in. Here is her calling in. Let's go ahead and put the image up of the gentleman there from the Park Service. We'll have more for you next week. I want to follow the story up. I was kind of half-assed tonight. I've already done 2 radio broadcasts, one worldwide, one here in Austin. Let's go ahead and go to the audio tape of Margaret Gomez, County Commissioner, admitting it, but trying to sidestep the issue and saying he's been counseled. It's illegal for a private auction to do it. It's illegal for a public to have employees of the company getting the bids up. That's called unmitigated fraud. That's all it is. That's all it's ever going to be. And Gomez knows who this guy is. We don't have his name tag here for you. But we've got that on the other tape. We had 2 different cameras, 2 different versions. We'll get that all for you next week. We already aired a 25-minute special on it. But now we have her on tape, and we have just the video of this fella out there doing it. What is his name? Was it... I know what it was, but I don't want to speculate.
Via the telephone of Margaret Gomez, County Commissioner, admitting that there were county employees out there with guns on their sides. We got video of it. Guns on their sides, getting the bids up. That is patently illegal. Where's the investigation? She says they're counseling them. Where's the investigation? Where are the firings? This is unbelievable. Let's go ahead and go to that right now.
Okay, hold on. Wednesday, 1:59 p.m. Line 1.
Mike, this is Margaret Gomez. It's Monday afternoon at about 9 minutes after 2. I checked on that, and sure enough, it is not. Each elected official has a policy of not, especially the ones who have peace officers, have a policy that the employees in uniform are not to bid on any items. And so I checked on it, and I think what happened is that our employee was walking by, and it just seemed easy to bid, although he didn't buy anything. So that was reported to his boss, and he has been counseled to not do that again, especially when he is in uniform and on county time. So it's one of those cases where he has been counseled. That won't happen again, and hopefully it was just a mistake that he made.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I found out.
Standing in the back of the crowd.
The price is up on all the bids.
All right, Mike has it on his answering machine. That was a rebroadcast from my radio endeavors. Well, there you had it. Let's get his picture up there one more time. And we'll show you the Travis County employee with a gun on his side bidding on the properties. We'll re-air that in the future. We got so much. We're just a small group of people, highly motivated, setting bushfires in the minds of men and women everywhere. Just a brief recap of what we talked about tonight. Ross Perot is demanding Clinton's medical records and is circulating a petition to get it done. Why does he want the medical records? Well, rumor has it Clinton has been in and out of rehab for cocaine abuse 12 times. Keep this in mind. These are my notes here. Don't you think some government person is giving him 12 times? Rumor, and don't forget this guy has his finger on the red button. Now this is the bad part. The Senate Judiciary Committee and the House Oversight Committee are considering impeachment hearings, and they may list the China connection in the high crimes and misdemeanors. If they do that, I'll have a totally different view on this government. That would be a really fantastic thing. The Serb holy city of Kosovo is held by Albanians, and the UN and Clinton say that Serbia must let them have their holy ancient city. That'd be like Jerusalem being handed over to the Palestinians. They also won't release the results of last month's elections in Bosnia because the Serbs obviously won. See, the Serbs, guys, aren't the bad guys. They're not perfect. You saw the photos of supposed genocide, heard it on the news, one skinny guy behind a barbed wire fence. It's funny, the Croats and the Muslims were working with Hitler in the Balkans during World War II, and it swallowed up 1.5 million of Hitler's troops just to control the Serbs. The Serbs don't back down. But again, you've been conditioned. I don't expect you to. Go read your history. Kosovo is a Serbian city. But now it's a vassal state, and they're supposed to give up all their territory to people that don't have rights to it. Not nothing against the Muslims, but this is not their property. That's to stir up some trouble for Clinton so he can get a diversion going. Also, Clinton did not consult the Joint Chiefs of Staff or the FBI in the attack on the Sudanese laxative/antibiotic factory, and new info shows that Afghanistan targets were not military. Wag the dog, absolutely. All right, we'll take 3 phone calls. We'll wrap up the show. I will be back at 11 o'clock tonight, Channel 16 for Bad Bob Presents. Refusing to submit. You're on the air. Yes, caller. Yes.
I want to tell you about that film you just looked at. The statement Margaret made there.
This is Robert. This is Robert Kurtz, host of Secret of the Stones, and Robert was one of our excellent people out on site. Tell us what was going on from your bird's eye perspective.
Well, okay, you just heard Margaret say that this guy just happened to come by, but the film you showed him walking down the stairs there.
No. We have video. We have your video and mine that we played 25 minutes of. Don't have time tonight of him wandering around the vestibule, coming out, getting the bids up, hiding in the vestibule, coming out to get the bids up. He was hiding.
Well, you're right, but
shouting bids.
He was there before they even started the auctions. He did not just drop by.
Now, but remember this, Robert. Now, we're being weirdos. We're being conspiracy theorists. County tax assessor Nelda Wells Spears told us on tape that they're not taking homes and property.
I was standing right behind you when she told you that.
And we played it 50 times.
Yep.
And also,
they're lying to you, folks. They're lying to you.
Oh, but we don't respect ourselves, Robert. We're just supposed to accept all this fraud and lay down like good slaves. Be a good slave. Get on the cattle car.
That's it, buddy.
Yeah, pay for the cameras that control you. Pay for having your kids dumbed down.
And they'll chain you up electronically.
Oh, they love you. They're going to thumb scan you real good to buy and sell. Don't listen to me. They'll look at the Lockheed Martin Marietta commercials, the Visa commercials.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, folks, I said it earlier tonight on the forum, martial law is going to come about before Y2K. Thanks, Alex. God bless you.
Thank you for the call, sir. You're on the air.
Hey, Alex. Earlier on your radio show tonight, I heard you say, ask what was going on with Perot. My theory is the 3-ring circus is starting, people are getting bored with the center ring, so Perot is going into the second ring, and it's just a stage theatrics is what I figure, and, somebody at the top is saying, well, we got to spice it up a little. Let's get Perot in here acting like a rooster.
What's your first name?
Melissa.
Hey, Melissa, great point. What you're saying is absolutely pertinent to what we're talking about. Remember Perot back in '92?
I voted for him. Shoot me now.
Like a pet bull on Bush's leg, worshiping Clinton, split the vote, got Clinton voted in. He was supposed to be on that 10-member board to divvy up the 1/7 of the U.S. economy, health care.
Right. Now, see, we didn't know that, though. They weren't telling us who he was then.
Well, he made his first big contract with Nelson Rockefeller in New York with Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid with the computer systems.
Yeah. But I have one of his T-shirts that I got from his campaign. I got it out the other day when I was mowing my lawn. I needed a shirt to mow my lawn, so cut the sleeves out and cut the front a little bit, and then I took a big red marker and I put a circle with a line down the middle, and it says, "No Perot, he's corrupt too." That's what I wore to mow my lawn.
Melissa, we're good people that just want to work hard and get things done. We're stabbed in the back repeatedly. But the fact of the matter is the establishment realizes their games are running out real quick. People realize the Federal Reserve is private. The IRS is their collection agency. Big government's for the ultra-rich. I'm free market. They're not. They're corrupt. We're waking up to the paradigm. We're going to win. It's going to be a hard trek. A lot of us won't make it, but we're going in. World history's repeating itself, probably for the final time.
Stop feeding the beast. Stop paying taxes.
We're going in. God bless you.
All right, bye.
Take care. You're on the air, Colin.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Real fast.
Good show. Hey, have you heard anything about the, apparently, the higher-ups in the military guys that have been in for 15 years or so leaving?
Yes, they are, and also, this has been reported widely on the news, military is refusing to toast the president at events. Even when the president isn't there, they're supposed to toast him.
Yeah, I heard Recon talking about that the other day. And
yeah, there's a very serious coup in the works. I've talked to a lot of military people. It's just as bad, though. I don't want to destabilize things. I want to legally reinstate the Constitution, abolish the Federal Reserve, get rid of the IRS, repeal the 1933 War and Emergency Powers Act.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right, we're wrapping it up.
Hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here with Mike Hanson Archives. Please take a moment to watch this short video about my nonprofit Gonzales Association of Patriots. Please take time to visit the GoFundMe and help your neighbor out. Anything will help us, even if it's $5, $20. If you can do more, great. But if you knew how desperate some of these people were, people that are a lot less fortunate than we are, they really need help here in Gonzales, Texas, and we're really trying to do that for them. So take a few minutes here to watch this video about our nonprofit, and please visit our GoFundMe and donate what you can. We really appreciate it, and thanks a lot, and God bless. Because I know you need help with your food and everything else. So that's from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. We always try to do something good for somebody every single month. We try.
I love you, Mike. I love everybody. Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Everybody.
Buy what you want with it. Buy you something nice once in a while.
I love you, Mike.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Well, hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about our nonprofit organization here in Gonzales, Texas. It's Gonzales Association of Patriots. We started it back in 2016 to help the less fortunate people here in Gonzales, Texas, and there's a lot of them. People are getting their electricity cut off. They can't make the gas to even get to their jobs. So we help them along the way as much as we can. We're not that big, so we would like to get bigger and get a lot more money to help people with. And so we have started a GoFundMe there. Just look below. Just look below here and you'll see the GoFundMe. And here's a couple people that we have helped lately. And hopefully it will move you to give a little bit to our organization, Gonzales Association of Patriots. Hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here with Gonzales Association of Patriots. What we do here on this organization is we help people that are less fortunate here in Gonzales. And what was your name, ma'am?
Lauren.
Lauren, you have fallen on some hard times, and I hate to hear that. Tell us what the city, they cut your electricity off, then they want to charge you more deposits. We put you up in the motel for a couple days or a week while it's been really, really cold, and we're gonna give you gas money to try to get some more help. But folks, we have a GoFundMe. If you look right here on the screen and look below this video, go to the GoFundMe if you'd like to help Lauren. How much do you owe on your electricity bill? I mean, it's getting up there.
It's like $350, but this is the third time in a month and a half that I've had to pay a deposit. So I paid 3 deposits in a month and a half and almost $1,800 in lights.
And you're living without electricity right now.
Yes.
And we would like to help you. We're down to a couple $100s ourselves in our fund. And if anybody out there, if just 10 of y'all would donate $100, boy, that would be $1,000 we could help you. Lauren, you're from Gonzales. We help people from Gonzales. We have helped you just about as much as our fund's running out. So folks, we help people here in Gonzales. If you would just give us the GoFundMe right there, and you can help beautiful people like this out there. You're working hard trying to get, you've fallen on some hard times.
Yes, sir. And then with this heart failure, it's harder to work, physically work. So it's a lot harder.
Well, we're going to try to get you by right now and give you a little gas money. We're secretary. There's Miss Cammie. Give her check from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. Let me show them. It's a legitimate association, and we've had it for about 4 years now, and we help people out.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
Everybody help this lady out. Put it in GoFundMe, and we'll get with you to help you with your electricity bill. All right. God bless y'all out there. Thank you. People donate money to us, and that's how we get this money.
Thank you.
So if anybody wants to know more about our organization, we're here in Gonzales, Texas at P.O. Box 481.
Thank y'all very much, and God bless everybody that helps people around that are in need. God bless y'all.
Remember, folks, this is not like other things like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. 100% of what we take in goes back into helping the people. We don't take salaries. We just find the needy people and try to get them to a better place. We give them a hand up is what we do. All righty. Thanks a lot and God bless. It's Mike Hanson here. Please help us where you can.
God bless the Republic and the United States, and death to the New World Order! Yeah! All right! Yeah! Yes, thank you very much, folks.